Welcome to this slow Sunday session, your time to step back and reflect. Let's zoom out from the noise and map the connections that truly matter in your ecosystem. So, today we're going to work through Zone 2, which is Zone 2 of 7 strategic zones that I've devised to help us level up our strategic thinking as entrepreneurs and creators. So, zone 2 is all about interdependencies and stakeholder mapping. So, before we go, and this is an unedited video deliberately so that you can have some time to prompt, respond to prompts, make some notes, have a sip of your tea or coffee, and have some time to just slow down and notice what's come up. So, before we dive in, I'm Serena. This is Serena's playbook. My playbook method is devised so that you can create your own new thinking system to help level up your approach for your brand, your business, your creator journey, your professional and perhaps even your personal life. But this most definitely will enhance your experience running your business and your creator, even artist ventures. So, zone 2 is interdependencies. I rushed that interdependencies and stakeholder mapping. In systems thinking, and I've been studying it and practicing it since beginning my master's in it, nothing operates in isolation. And I can definitely confirm this to be a helpful reflection in my strategic communications work. I've been doing it for more than 20 years. And being in media and business, I know that business isn't linear, it's a web. A lot of what we do as creators and entrepreneurs, as creatives, is not linear, it's a web. And the useful reminder is that we're not building alone because we are always operating in an ecosystem where there are clients, platforms, collaborators, and communities, not all ones that we can immediately identify. When we take a step back, we can spot some that perhaps we've missed. The more clearly we can see the web, the more strategically we can move within it and use it to meet our objectives. In a networked world, our greatest leverage is understanding our relationships. Interdependencies aren't constraints, they are opportunities. And this applies to our brand, our messaging, our content, and even our collaborations. With stakeholder mapping, you get clarity on who impacts us and who we impact. We're thinking beyond typical business roles, ideally. We want to consider platforms, audiences, algorithms, changes in the technological landscape, trends, and even allies. And systems thinking has helped me to trace these connections across disciplines and silos. And that's why I devised this approach, because I wanted to synthesize my time in strategic public relations and comms, in media and business, and now in systems thinking. I wanted to crystallize a lot of these ideas and approaches and have them fit to the entrepreneur and creator journey. It's really important that we integrate artificial intelligence into our considerations and our reflections, because AI shifts power and visibility dynamics in our stakeholder landscape. It will impact our stakeholder landscape because it's impacting us, it's impacting them. There might be partners, other entrepreneurs, other businesses and clients. So our stakeholders now include tools, platforms, and even algorithms that influence our reach. So how are you tracking these changes, and how might your strategy evolve with these changes? It's something that we might not always have the answer to, but just having the time to consider them and include them in our considerations can make such a difference, a significant enough difference to inform how we work, how we develop, and how we act. So if you're ready with a pen and paper, let's get to some reflection prompts, since that's why you're here today. Who are your core stakeholders right now? Clients, collaborators, team, platforms, your audience segments. If you need to pause, that's fine. Jot them down. Who are your core stakeholders right now? 2, what does each stakeholder require from you? And what do you need from them? 3, which connections are strong? And which ones are perhaps underdeveloped or misaligned? There may be some that are just no-brainer relationships, therefore those connections must receive your investment and your time. And there's some that are underdeveloped, and it may be because initially you can't identify the ROI and you're so in the moment that you just need to focus on the win at the end of the week or the month. And perhaps there are some connections that are misaligned, and they could do with a little bit of attention. Perhaps they're lined up to the wrong offering, or they're lined up in a slightly off way. You need to turn that kind of alignment on. Maybe it's in your language, how you communicate with them. Maybe it's the medium through which you communicate with them and engage with them. As an example, is it that they would benefit from a YouTube channel membership where you communicate with them directly on the platform? Or are they better in a newsletter or in a Patreon? Let's get to 4. Which connections are strong? Sorry, did that already. 4 is, where do you see webs within webs within webs? It's going to be like my thing now. It has become my thing. Where do you see webs within webs? Hidden connections or synergies? Because when we begin to map and we get to a lower level of focus and abstraction, we begin to notice more detail, and then you start to notice, oh, they've got their own little maps within them. That's the fun bit of mapping. And so you start to spot webs within webs. And then when you do that, you begin to spot hidden connections that weren't immediately obvious to you. And with those connections, synergies and hopefully opportunities. Let's get to 5. Are you treating any key relationships as one directional when they're actually mutual? This doesn't have to take on a sinister or a selfish kind of tone. It's just that there might be an established kind of expectation that it could really only be one directional, when perhaps there could be something a lot more reciprocal there, where you both could benefit even more. So, are you treating any of these in a one directional way? 6, which of your offerings or channels align with different types of stakeholders? Because if you recall me speaking about having your own ecosystem of offerings and content, we know that not all forms of content or platforms appeal to everybody in the same way, but they might overlap. And so, if you could identify which of your offerings and which of your channels appeal to your stakeholder segments in a more unique way, specific way, where they are fanning over one more than the other, take note of it, because when you are speaking to them using that medium, you could perhaps directly connect with them more, changing your language, understanding their pain points. 7, are you overlooking any silent stakeholders? This is similar to like the question about have you identified all your stakeholders, but there are some silent ones, and those are the ones that people perhaps don't at all consider, such as changes in AI systems, any regulatory shifts in regulation that impact your profession, your industry, and any emerging audiences. I was having some really interesting conversations with my teenagers' generation of children at a family event, and there are always new things, new behaviors, new trends, new ways of engaging with content that are coming up, and it's been so helpful for me to get those insights. There's a resurgence or a new desire for longer form content, not just because people are tired of the short form and being saturated by short form, but because they want a little bit more, and they would be patient enough to listen for a little longer. So it's not necessarily the case that they want to have more time with you. They want more depth with you and therefore are prepared to spend that time. Let's get to 8. Where can you cross-pollinate audiences and offerings without diluting your core message? This is an interesting one, because your message is always being received differently with every piece of communication you put out there, every impression that you leave, implied or not. So, there's in reputation management, which is one of my strategic zones, there's a way that you can communicate and establish your reputation, which isn't verbal. So it's the kind of vibe, like vibes don't lie. It's the kind of vibe that you leave with somebody. And so that can change. It's not just in your explicit messaging. And so it's important to keep abreast of the kind of vibe you're giving off. And does that vibe align with your North Star? And then coming back to the where can you cross-pollinate your audiences, and just that you might be giving a bit of a vibe that's different here to there on Snap compared to TikTok, but does it line up with your core message and even your core offering? Let's get to 9. How could you better position your work to articulate its value across these interconnections? This is a similar one to the vibe. How could you better position the things that you do to articulate the value of what you offer across these interconnections? And, without actually hearing back from you, I won't have all those answers, but I think this is a really useful prompt. It's one to sort of consider in the way that you promote what you do, which sort of ideas, trends, industries you align your work with. Have a little think of that and let me know in the comments what comes up for you. 10. Are you prepared for one stakeholder's shift to ripple through the rest of your web? As an example, do you remember when there was a TikTok ban or there was a threat of a TikTok ban? That's a stakeholder, and that's going to ripple through the rest of your web. Are you prepared for it? Are you prepared for that big client to move on? This is going to help you with your risk readiness, which is one of my strategic zones, but also, do you want to overly rely and depend on that one stakeholder? 11. What's one relationship that you need to nurture this quarter for long-term strategic benefit? I love the long term. I'm so active in the short term, but I really enjoy knowing that this thing that I'm doing has no results to show off right now, but I know it's going to pack a punch. And I'm so glad that I began studying at postgrad level part-time whilst working and having a business and parenting and all of these things, because it really got me into this mindset that I wasn't in before. I could do longish term, medium term, but long term, the long-term strategic benefits of a relationship or a project that you're nurturing, it's not an easy thing to do. It's not one that people easily do because they want to do something that's going to give them immediate results, and that's most of us. 12. What do you want to be known for across your ecosystem, and does your current web reflect that? This is an interesting one for those who are multi-passionate, multi-skilled. What do you want to be known for across your ecosystem? Like, which one thing the most? I think for me, it would be analysis. I would want, even though, I'm doing multiple things, whether it's a personal YouTube channel about enhancing our thinking and approach to life, especially using a holistic approach, or here providing more strategic direction and guidance for others like me, creatives, artists, entrepreneurs, or my media literacy channel, for instance, or my Substack, where I'm talking about, like, the media literacy channel, socio-political matters. I think if I looked at that entire ecosystem, the one thing that I would really want to be known for across them is analysis and a deeper level of thought and consideration, being a reflective person that could be relied upon to go a little bit deeper and to want to offer insights or prompts so that we can move the needle. This is something that writers do as well, especially when they're in writers' rooms. I was hearing from a writer just this weekend, and how when they're in their writers' rooms, the kinds of processes they go through, and you're really having to get into multi levels of abstraction and thought and thinking, and that's exciting to me. So what's your thing that you want to be known for across your ecosystem, and does your current web reflect that? So this session was about zooming out, mapping wide, because your power, it lies in navigating the complexity. Navigating complex situations and not shrinking from them, because you know now that every ecosystem is dynamic, and revisiting your mapping often will put you in a much stronger strategic position, because your web is always changing, moving, expanding. If this helped you to think differently, then please do hit subscribe. Welcome to new subscribers. And don't miss the next zone, the next Slow Sunday strategic reflection session. I have a strategic self-awareness questionnaire that you can access via my site. And if you want to go deeper, pre-sale is open for my summer masterclass, where we design your entire thinking system. Details are in the description. And hey, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know which stakeholder or interdependency surprised you today. Keep this video bookmarked. You can always return to it. Come back to it every month or every quarter to check on your web. And this is really what strategy looks like. It's about being slow, intentional, and relational. And just know you're not alone in this. You're building within a living system. So let's keep tending to it together. And I'll see you in the next one.